Hey everyone, welcome to this channel. I'm Maika, I'm a psychologist, and this is part 7 of the course about how to unhook from upsetting thoughts. In previous videos, I explained why it's so important to work on our beliefs about thoughts, because these beliefs determine our first response to thoughts, and that is followed by corresponding emotions and potentially problematic coping behavior, and that can lead to a cycle of strengthening unwanted, intrusive, disturbing thoughts. And last week, I started discussing 4 common beliefs about thoughts, how they're true, how they're not true, and this week I want to continue with that. When thoughts affect events and when they don't. A common belief about thoughts is that they have the power to affect events. You've probably heard of this belief. If you think about something long enough, it will happen. If you desire something with enough intensity, after some time, it'll manifest. Or if you think of a disaster or catastrophe, it's more likely to happen than if you wouldn't have thought of it. The opposite of this belief is the belief that you can make something more unlikely to happen by worrying about it. This is the belief that you can prevent a disaster or catastrophe or make it more unlikely by continuously worrying about someone's safety, that your worry is somehow keeping them safe. To both of these beliefs, I can say that neither one is true. A thought doesn't change the probability of an event. You don't have to fear that a frightening or depressing thought will make a disaster happen or more likely to happen. And at the same time, you can't protect anyone by worrying about them all the time. What is true is that you will be more likely to act in ways that will make something happen if you want it to happen, if you believe that it will be good, if you believe that it can happen, if you believe that you can make it happen. And then formulate a goal, a vision, and a plan with concrete steps of how to make it happen. In that sense, yes, this inner orientation, goal, and plan will make it more likely that you'll act in ways that will help you achieve your goal and make that more likely. But without this link of a desire, a goal, a plan, choices, and action, a mere thought cannot change the probability of an event. Ways we're in control of our thoughts and ways we're not. Another important question in connection to how we relate to our thoughts is, how much are we in control of our thoughts? How much should we be in control of our thoughts? When we hear things like, get a hold on yourself, pull yourself together, control yourself, we may form the impression that we should be more in control of our thoughts than we are. And then we may start doubting our goodness or willpower when we can't control our thoughts absolutely. That's why it's important to know that we don't have absolute control over our thoughts. We can't decide not to have a certain thought. It's not an option. And it's not a question of goodness or willpower. Our mind doesn't have an I don't want this thought button. And there's nothing wrong with you if you haven't found this button because it doesn't exist. Yes, we can direct our focus of attention to some degree. And yes, we can change our core beliefs by becoming aware of them, understanding their origin, and questioning their validity and helpfulness, and then practicing and developing more helpful core beliefs. But we can't decide not to have a certain thought. Because we have some influence on our thoughts, we might think that gaining more influence and control is a question of skill and technique, but it's not. In fact, trying to have more control over our thoughts than we can makes certain thoughts, the ones that we want to get rid of, push away, come back with more intensity and frequency. When thoughts indicate danger and when they don't. Can thoughts indicate danger or threat? Can they be warning signals? Yes, they can. Thoughts and corresponding sensations of fear or unease can indicate that someone's being manipulative, untrustworthy, or that a situation isn't safe. However, and this is a big however, our inner alarm system can also ring a false alarm. This is because our body and mind are designed to keep us safe, and they'd rather ring the false alarm a few too many times than have us walk into real danger, unalarmed, uncautiously, and then get hurt. So we all experience fear from time to time. And if we've learned how to process fear and regulate our nervous system, we can then calm back down and return to a feeling of being safe when we notice, oh, it's nothing, it's just a rope, not a snake. Added to that, you may be more anxious than other people due to your biology and or life experiences, especially if you're a survivor of mistreatment or childhood emotional neglect. If a child's needs, core needs especially, aren't met, the anxious tension of that unfulfilled need, it doesn't deconstruct, or it's not calmed down, processed. It just stays there in that child, chronically activated. And that has a habit of sticking with people into adulthood. All this doesn't mean that fear is bad or that anyone is a lost case. We need fear as a signal in actually dangerous situations. What this does mean is that we also need the aware inner adult, the inner self leader that sorts out real threat from false alarms and then helps us calm back down and regulate our nervous system in 99% of the cases when our thoughts and anxiety were a false alarm. To sum up, just because we have a frightening thought or sense anxiety doesn't necessarily mean that we are in danger. When thoughts indicate that someone has mental health struggles and when they don't. 90% of people admit to having frightening, disturbing, morally questionable thoughts come into their mind from time to time. And the other 10% of people probably also do, but just don't feel comfortable admitting to it in surveys. This is just a feature of the human mind. This means that everyone you know has weird thoughts from time to time. Your friends, parents, teachers, guides, mentors. This doesn't mean that you and everyone else has a mental illness. Sure, a certain content of thought is connected to mental health struggles, but the problem isn't the thought itself, but believing it and letting it guide our behavior. Like the thought, I'm not lovable, believing that, and then only starting relationships with people that don't treat you well. And the good news is these core beliefs and corresponding thoughts can be changed. And when it comes to morally questionable, intrusive thoughts, they don't feel right to the person experiencing them. They don't resonate them. It's nothing that the person actually wants. And they can develop into obsessive compulsive thoughts and actions by the way you respond to them, but also that can be changed and healed. So in summary, having passing weird thoughts is not a sign of mental illness, and there are many options and pathways to healing for thoughts that are connected to mental illness. Thanks for watching. I hope this was useful to you. If you'd like early access to the videos I'm creating for this course and access to some extra material, check out the first link in the description, which will lead you to my e-learning platform. For now, till next time, take care. And remember, don't give thoughts power where they don't have any.